Hello, and welcome to the Tai Chi 8 Treasures sequence. In order to introduce the sequence, first I want to demonstrate a link that was very important to all of the movements in our Tai Chi practice. But the 8 Treasures sequence is the place where we begin to really develop this linkage, which we can then expand later as we move into other patterns and longer sequences. To do it, I'm going to use this push broom. Now notice that there are 3 ways that I can move this broom around on the floor. The first way is to use my upper body, to use the power in the arms and my chest and back muscles to provide the primary source of energy for pushing the broom. A second way, and very different, is to use the hips and legs to provide the energy for the movement, and to think of the arms as a channel through which that energy is directed into the broom. Now, another important element here is that this action is connected to the strongest muscles in my body, and it's linked through the center of balance, which is in the hip. A third way to achieve the same result is to combine the 2 actions to make the primary source of energy the rocking pattern in the lower body, and then to add some upper body movement in order to get the best of both worlds. Now, it's important as I work this way to keep things in balance and maintain a proportionality. I don't want the upper body to dominate the movement, nor the lower body to dominate the movement, but rather to bring the 2 into a proportionality that creates a linked and comfortable and fluid chain of action as I work. So as you work through the 8 treasure sequences, keep this demonstration in mind. And with each of the movements, think of bringing the movement from the ground by activating the hips and legs and channeling it through the arms and into whatever pattern we happen to be working. Now let's begin our 8 treasures practice. Bring one foot forward so that the heel of the forward foot is in line with the toes of the back foot, and maintain a hip's distance between the feet, just as we worked out in our beginning sequence. Now begin to rock gently forward and back. Right? We want to make sure that we don't lock either knee, but stay comfortably in the middle of the range of motion. So this rocking motion is going to be our primary motive force to drive the 8 separate patterns that will develop in the upper body. Now notice that as we rock forward and back, the arms begin to swing. I'll turn to the side so you can see it a little bit better. As I rock, the arms begin to swing, and now I'll simply take this basic energy that's provided from the rocking motion and begin to channel it into a circular pattern. We call this raising water. Water is a metaphor for elevating our state of energy, our state of activity. It's a metaphor for the kinetic energy that we develop in the hip and leg and then amplify and shape in the upper body movement. Now notice that as the pattern rises, I lead with the back of the wrist, the hands hang loose and heavy. As it descends, I bend the wrist the opposite way and lead with the heel of the hand. On the upstroke, don't allow the back of the wrist to come above the shoulder line because we want to keep our shoulders relaxed rather than tense and lifted. On the downstroke, make sure that the heel of the hand stays above the level of the elbow. So your actual movement in the hands is not all that broad. It's amplified through the movement of the hip and legs. As the movement rises, breathe in. As it descends, exhale. The classic imagery for this pattern is to think of a baby sleeping. And as the baby sleeps, the belly rises and falls so gently in a nice, soft, absolutely peaceful breath rhythm. So try to find the same kind of rhythm in your breath and begin to use the breath as the governing element in your pattern, so that your pattern becomes an extension of the rhythm of the breath, energized by the movement of the hips and legs, and then shaped, channeled and distributed through the body as we combine lower and upper body in one unified pattern. Breathe in, breathe out. Think light, think heavy. Think calm on the inhale, relax on the exhale. As we move through the pattern, imagine that the elbows have a sense of weight in them. Try to feel the weight of the elbows as we work. Continue to rock, keeping both feet flat, especially that rear heel as we come forward. Continue to work. If you get tired, certainly take a rest. And when you feel refreshed, begin again. Notice from the front view that I keep my arms broad. They're at about shoulder level, and one of the things that I want to be careful with as I work is to avoid allowing the hands to start to pinch together like this, which indicates tension forming in the chest. Keep your arms broad, let it flow, and think of distributing the movement throughout the body. If at any point you want to switch the front and the back foot, feel free to do that. Now, change the feet and broaden the arms like a big bird with its wings spread. Here we want to make the elbows heavy. When we say that, partly what we mean by that is that the hands are going to move in the space above the level of the elbow. So for this pattern, I begin by rocking. I feel the swing of the arms as I set my body in motion, and now I'm going to take the movement in the arms and I'm going to begin to gently shape it into another circular pattern. The circle is a primary form that we utilize for all of these movements because it provides such marvelous continuity of flow as we work. Now notice with this pattern that the palms are rotating. As the arms rise, the palms are turned up. As it sinks, the palms are turned down. Connect to the breath. Inhale in the rise, exhale in the descent. Breathe in, think calm. Breathe out, think relax. Think light as it rises, heavy as it descends. Right? Imagine that through the tips of the fingers in each hand, water is shooting out toward the walls on either side of my body. So that gives me a sense of projection as I work. As we rock forward and back, try to keep the hips centered, rocking forward and back on a nice straight line. Broaden the movement, begin to distribute it to as many active joints as you can sense. Light, heavy. Breathe in, breathe out. Calm, relax. Here again, I want to be careful on the upstroke that I don't allow the shoulders to lift excessively. So I'm feeling a sense of weight in the shoulders as I work. And when we get the proper proportionalities in the movement, we find that it's easy to sustain these patterns for extended periods of time. Now release the arms and switch your feet. Again, the forward foot is as far forward as the toes of the back foot, and we're still at hip distance as we work. Release the arms, let them drop below the waist, and move the fingertips toward the midline. Leave a couple of inches of space between the two fingers. Now we're going to raise the hands to heart level and then allow them to sink. Turning the palms up on the lift, turning the palms down as it descends. Set the body in motion and begin to link to the rocking pattern in the lower body to feed your upper body movement. Breathe in as it rises, breathe out as it descends. In order to bring continuity to our pattern, on the bottom of the movement, scoop towards your waistline, and on the top of the movement, roll towards your sternum. Again, be mindful that we don't bring the arms above the level of the heart because that'll begin to form tension in our shoulders. So be sensitive to the range of motion. As it rises, think light. As it descends, think heavy. Smooth the top and bottom by rolling toward the chest, rolling toward the waistline. Gently inhale, gently exhale. Calm and relaxed. Continue the pattern as long as you wish. When you begin to feel fatigued or the mind begins to wander, that's generally an indication that it's time to change patterns. Now switch your feet. The next pattern, we're going to elevate the arms a little further upward, turning the palms toward the midline. Begin to rock. As the hands expand, breathe in. As they come towards center, breathe out. Think of a ball, like a big ball, like a beach ball. As we breathe in, let this imaginary ball expand. As we breathe out, allow it to contract. Stay soft in the hands and fingers. Allow the chest to expand on the inhalation and maintain that expansion through the exhalation. Inhale, exhale. Light, heavy. Calm, relax. Continue to work. From the side, notice the dimension in the movement. It expands from side to side as the movement rises and falls, and you'll also notice it comes back toward the body and then moves away slightly. And of course, with all of our patterns, we're linked to the movement in the lower body, the steady rocking pattern that feeds energy into our upper bodies as we work. Calm, relax, light, heavy. Breathe in, breathe out. Switch your feet. Once the base is established, elevate the arms again. This time the hands just below the shoulder line. As we rock forward and back, we're going to reach forward as though gathering something in an embrace. As the hands come toward the body, then roll off and push each palm to the side gently. Breathe in as the hands come toward the body. Breathe out as we press off to the side. With this pattern, we want to be mindful of a few additional spatial relationships. From the side, you'll notice that as I rock forward, I'm careful not to tip forward at the waist, but rather I keep the back straight and I allow the upper body to ride the movement of the hips and legs. As my hands come forward, I'm sensitive to the position of my hands relative to that front foot, and I want to try to avoid overreaching the movement and going beyond the toes of the front foot. So as we work, try to be sensitive to posture and alignment between upper body and lower body, especially how far forward we reach. Right? Be generous in your movement and strive for a continuous flow so that at no point during the pattern does it ever come to a complete rest. Once again, keep the hands soft. The fingers are relaxed. Imagine your palms have big wads of cotton in them. So we imagine the palm is soft and deep. Again, allow the movement to flow gently as we feel the center of balance in motion. All of the movements, we think into the palm of the hand and we relate the movement of the palm of the hand to the movement of our center of balance, so that we begin to create a tangible connection between what we sense in the palms of the hands as they move through the pattern and the way the hip at the center of balance behaves in the lower body. Again, this creates a unified effect. And when we begin to get the breathing, the movement pattern into the proper proportion and alignment, we experience a very strong sense of flow, very little effort, and a calm, quiet state of mind. Good. Now switch your feet. Bring one palm toward the ceiling, the other palm toward the floor. Make sure the low hand is below the waistline and that the high hand is not extended so far upward that the shoulder is drawn up. So let the shoulders stay relaxed as we work. Now, as we begin to rock forward and back, we're going to begin to switch the hands by bringing the palms towards center and then back out again. Now, you may realize very quickly that there are several different possibilities in terms of the relationship between the movement in the upper body and the rhythm of the breath. Allow your body to simply come into a rhythm that begins to sustain as you work. It will change over time, and that's a good thing. One of our primary goals in all of our practice is to improve our ability to diversify movement and to improve and strengthen our adaptive capacity. And we do that through variation of patterns and rhythms, intensities, pacing, and many other elements as we develop our practice. Calm and relaxed, try to feel a sense of proportionality between the upper and the lower body. Turn the hand that rises, turn that palm toward the ceiling, while at the same time turning the descending hand, palm, toward the floor. Try to avoid, as you work, letting the fingers point toward the ground, like this, but rather adjust the position of the hand so that the palm is directed toward the floor. As with all of our movements, never force. So we have to be sensitive to the comfortable range and all of the joints that are involved, and be careful that we don't force any joint beyond its normal and comfortable range of motion. Feel the rocking pattern underneath. Feel the action of the feet against the ground as we practice. Now, the last two patterns are going to use a slightly different approach to generating energy in order to perform the pattern. Rather than rocking forward and back, we're going to widen our feet and make them parallel. We're going to utilize the turn of the hip. So again, the width of the base should be somewhere between hip distance and shoulder distance. When you rotate your body, when you turn the hip this way, if it feels a little bit tight, then try bringing the legs in a little bit closer and see if that leads to a more comfortable pattern. Recall that this is one of the first patterns we developed in our beginning sequence. Right, now notice that if I bring my hands up, the hands are slightly above elbow line. I imagine I'm holding a small ball. Notice that if I turn the hip, the arms follow the movement of the hip, but they also stay aligned in front of my body. Alternatively, if I don't move the hip, then the arms will swing independently, and as they swing, they'll come off to the other side. What we're trying to do is create a unity between the hip movement and the arm movement. It's the same idea that we demonstrated with the push broom. We're just using a different motive pattern to produce the effect. Now, once you get the arms turning, begin to gently shape your pattern into a figure 8. Imagine we're holding a ball, so that rather than thinking about each hand as a separate entity, we unify the movement of the hands around the idea of holding an object. Since the ball connects to our fundamental principle of circle, and it has a beautiful symmetry, it's the most common imagery that we tend to employ as we work with these basic patterns. The 8 treasures forms a sequence of patterns and movement that we then take and begin to link and expand upon to create all of our other movements in our Tai Chi practice. So this is a core piece of learning, and it's an essential part of any regular Tai Chi practice because it continues to reinforce the basics and all those basic connections that we develop in our bodies. Now, as the hands swing to your right, allow them to circle up and around. When the hands fall, let the force of gravity assist. Keep turning the hip to drive the swing of the arms from side to side. And whenever you feel like it, as the hands flow up, roll back into your figure 8 pattern. Keep the back straight, and as we work, again, try to be conscious of allowing the movement in the hands to occur above the level of the elbow. I want to be careful that I don't come so high that I start to lift the shoulder. So keep your shoulders relaxed and allow the arms to swing freely. Hands are soft, fingers are relaxed, palms, again, like a big piece of cotton, soft and deep. Continue to work. Now, as your hands swing to your left, come up and around, big circle. Let it flow. Connect to the movement of the hip. Allow your body to rock if you want. Breathe in and out as you feel it. As the hands come to your left, flow back into the figure 8. So this last 2 patterns of our 8 treasures gives us a connectivity, a linkage between the figure 8 pattern and the surrounding circle. And if you wish, you can begin to play a little bit by using part of the figure 8 to create your linkage to the surrounding circle. A similar concept we developed early in our practice when we were moving the hip around in circles and figure 8 patterns and creating relationship between those 2 patterns.